You know, being a Brit who grew up in the 1990s, Doctor Who reruns were an intrinsic part of my childhood. I mean, who could forget the absolute terror of the Sea Devils? Aw shit, son, they're gonna get you. Well, that and stealing cheap vodka from corner shops to drink in a park in the middle of the night in winter. What can I say? It sounded pretty cool when I was 8. Anyway, my point is that I've always had a bit of a soft spot for my country's low-budget, charmingly goofy take on the sci-fi genre, but years of declining writing quality and a growing preoccupation with the message gradually soured me on what the show had become, and the breaking point finally came with the absolute narrative dumpster fire of The Timeless Children. But then, wouldn't you know it, things suddenly seemed to be looking up. The wildly unpopular 13th Doctor was finally jettisoned after what felt like decades of misery, veteran showrunner Russell T Davies was back in charge, and David Tennant was even coaxed back to play the Doctor one last time. Damn, maybe the show could actually pull off a Stranger Things and turn itself around after all. But leave it to the BBC to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. The Star Beast, the first episode of Davies' run, was basically a whistle-stop tour of every social justice issue that modern metropolitan Brits pretend to care about, all hammered home by subtle and carefully crafted dialogue like this.
We've got all that power, but there is a way to get rid of it. Something a male-presenting Time Lord will never understand.
Oh, come on! Oh my goodness, you guys literally never miss an opportunity, do you? Jesus, even the BBC's own culture editor called the episode nothing but a preachy vehicle for the message. I honestly don't know what's more ridiculous, that the BBC think people trust them to review their own output impartially, or the fact that they actually did it in this case and promptly decided that it was shit anyway. Ah, whatever. The thing I really wanted to look at here today was something a bit smaller, but in some ways a lot more important to the show's future. A Children in Need special titled Destination Scarrow that came out about a week or so before the first episode, featuring Tennant as the regenerated 14th Doctor.
60 minutes ago I was this really brilliant woman.
No mate, you weren't. I could think of a wide variety of words to describe your predecessor, and brilliant isn't one of them. The real focal point here though is the other main character of the episode, Davros, the iconic creator of the Daleks, and one of the most influential antagonists in the show's entire history. Now, eagle-eyed viewers might just be able to spot a few subtle differences between this Davros and the one from classic Doctor Who episodes like Genesis of the Daleks. Why does he look like a regular human now instead of this weird wrinkly rubber thing? Why doesn't he talk with his creepy electronic voice like before? And why is he walking around on fully functional legs instead of rocking his funky motorised chair like he always has until now? Well, the answer to those questions might just surprise you, dear viewer. Actually, no, forget that, they totally won't. Especially not when you hear what Russell himself has got to say about it.
Time and society and culture and taste has moved on, and there's a problem with the Davros of old in that he's a wheelchair user who is evil. And I had problems with that, and a lot of us on the production team had the problems with that, of associating disability with evil.
Are you serious?
This right here is the reason the new run of Doctor Who is gonna fail just like the previous run did. Because much like Chris Chibnall with The Timeless Children, Russell has just demonstrated that he's more than willing to rewrite and retcon one of the most iconic characters in the show's 60-year run in order to fit with the message. Can't be associating disability with evil, so gone is the wheelchair, gone is the crippled arm, gone is the electronically assisted voice, gone is literally everything that made him so interesting and mysterious in the first place. Instead, Davros has been redesigned into the most boring, generic-looking bad guy since Dar-Ben from the Marvels. Represented, of course, by the only group of people that the BBC now consider it acceptable to associate with pure evil. Thanks guys, great to know how much you despise the very people who pay your licence fee and allow you to keep operating. I'll be sure to bear that in mind when mine's due for renewal. These writers are so tediously predictable that it's not even funny to mock them now, because even they know that everyone can see them for the smug, elitist arseholes that they are, and they totally don't give a shit. Just like Captain Ahab plunging his harpoon into Moby Dick as he gets dragged beneath the waves, they don't even seem to care about winning or losing anymore, they just want to inflict as much damage as possible before the ends. And the thing is, I don't even know what they imagine they're protecting with all of their fake concern. Like, do you really think that anyone, anywhere on Earth has ever looked at Davros and thought, oh my god, Derek from down the street uses a wheelchair, maybe he's a genocidal mass murdering scientist developing a race of mutated armored killing machines as well? Instead of protecting and elevating people with disabilities, you're actually putting them down by implying that they can't actually accomplish anything that Davros did. Even with his physical body crippled, he remained a supremely cunning and dangerous enemy, a brilliant scientific intellect, a formidable military tactician, and one of the most important and dangerous characters in Doctor Who history. And as a character, Davros was never defined by his physical limitations. He didn't brood and agonize over them, they were simply part of his history that he learned to adapt to and overcome, proving the point that physical disabilities don't have to be a barrier to achieving incredible things, both good and bad. That a person is more than how fast they can run or how much they can lift. Pretty inspiring when you think about it. Compare that kind of subtle and nuanced character development to what we have today, where the good people at the BBC are more than happy to mock, belittle, and place all kinds of judgments and limitations on someone's potential for the crime of being the wrong race or gender.
We've got all that power, but there is a way to get rid of it. Something a male-presenting Time Lord will never understand.
Funny how that works, isn't it? Which brings me to the core of the matter, dear viewer. Being physically disabled doesn't automatically make you a good person, and it certainly doesn't make you immune to criticism for the things you say and do. Evil can come in all kinds of shapes, sizes, genders, races, religions, sexual orientations, and levels of physical ability, and the moment you start pretending that any of these things precludes the other, well, not only is it patronising as fuck towards any of the groups you've self-righteously taken it upon yourself to defend by implying they've got no agency of their own and are therefore not responsible for their own choices and actions, but it's also a pretty dangerous and morally screwed up road to go down if you follow it to its logical conclusion. Because who knows what shocking crimes and depraved actions you might end up trying to wave away with your half-baked notion of, he couldn't possibly have done anything bad, he's in a wheelchair. It's the same line of thinking that casually dismisses morally reprehensible characters that were willingly complicit in crimes against humanity just because they happen to be female, or isolationist ethno-states that launch unsanctioned missions against sovereign nations that result in civilian casualties with zero blowback or accountability because Wakanda forever or something. The truth is, nobody should be immune to criticism and responsibility if they're shitty people who say and do shitty things. Fundamentally, we're all human with the free will to make our own choices in life, and to pretend otherwise dehumanizes and patronizes the very people you think you're protecting. And well, if this is what we can expect from Russell's new run as Doctor Who showrunner, I don't expect great success to follow in his wake. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.